Welcome to the Recreational Diver Training for Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys. This training will prepare you for your upcoming dive with a Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys operator. Please make sure to pay close attention and take notes, as you will be required to pass a quick review prior to your dive. In response to the significant amount of marine debris left in the wake of Hurricane Irma, Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary and the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation are working with local dive operators to identify and remove marine debris. You can play an essential role in helping the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary stay healthy and resilient. Join us in Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys. Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys is empowering the community to act as stewards of the environment. Through local dive operators, known as Blue Star operators, hundreds of divers participate in Goal Clean Seas removals. Divers collect items such as derelict lobster traps, fishing rope and line, anchors, cinder blocks, fins, aluminum cans, and assorted single-use plastics.
Our reefs need your help. The Florida Keys is lucky to have the only barrier reef in North America, one of the most biodiverse places on Earth. The spectacular undersea wonders drive our economy and fuel our passion for diving. But underwater marine debris poses a risk to the reefs, the wildlife that live there, and all of us who depend on them. Goal Clean Seas is here to help. Our partnership between the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, and local Blue Star dive operators brings dive pros and enthusiasts under the waves to help remove harmful submerged debris. And you can be a part of it. Blue Star dive operators in the Keys are running cleanup dives all year round. Join us and help save our reefs.
Thanks to Blue Star diving operators and divers like you, Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys has had a huge impact in the Florida Keys community since it started in 2018. Over 2,000 recreational divers have spent over 5,000 hours removing over 70,000 pounds of debris from the sanctuary. Marine debris is our waste in the ocean. From everyday litter like plastic bags, food wrappers, drink bottles, and cigarette butts, to car batteries, kitchen appliances, enormous fishing nets, and industrial waste. The trash we allow in the ocean is turning our beautiful reefs, beaches, and seagrass meadows into dumps.
Have you ever been to the beach and noticed litter like plastic bottles or foam takeout containers on the sand? Or maybe you've been to a river or bay where there's a bag or a car tire stuck in the mud on the shore, or a bunch of deflated balloons that say "Happy Birthday" floating in the water? All of that junk in the water or on the shoreline is considered marine debris. It's anything solid and man-made in the ocean or Great Lakes that is not supposed to be there. And anything people use every day can become marine debris if they don't dispose of it properly. And I mean anything. The most common items we find when we do shoreline cleanups are plastics. But we also find rubber, cloth, glass, metal, and paper litter. Sometimes the debris is so tiny, like a plastic microbead from your face wash, that you can barely see it in the water. Marine debris is more than just trash in the ocean. Sometimes fishers lose their gear like fishing traps, nets, or fishing line, and it continues to drift through the water, catching animals for a long time. We call that derelict fishing gear, and it's marine debris. Have you ever seen an old boat left behind on a shoreline? Abandoned and derelict vessels are also marine debris. So let's review. Anything we use every day can become marine debris if we don't dispose of it properly or if it goes into the water by accident. Marine debris can be very small or can be very big. and anything in between. But most importantly, marine debris is one of the biggest pollution problems facing the world's oceans and waterways today.
Trash moves to the ocean from land and sea, but most of the debris in our ocean comes from land-based sources. Regardless of where it comes from, humans are the source of all marine debris, either through accident, carelessness, or purposeful dumping. Many of our waste products, including plastics, do not biodegrade. Instead, they break down into smaller pieces that remain a danger to marine life as they're easily mistaken for food. We often see marine debris washed up on beaches, but as much as 70% sinks to the seafloor. The need to address the marine debris issue is urgent.
How does marine debris impact the ocean, animals, and me? Would you want to swim in a beach littered with trash? Of course not. And the animals who live in the ocean don't either. The difference is, they don't have a choice. Marine species often get tangled in debris, from fishing nets to six-pack rings. If they get caught, they could get injured or even die. And even if they don't get entangled, many animals mistake plastic debris for food and eat it. This fills their stomach with junk they can't digest. Debris can also damage important habitats, like coral reefs, by breaking or smothering them. Corals serve as the base of the marine ecosystem, and impacts here can be felt all the way to you and me. Plus, plastics have harmful chemicals in them. Fish eat plastic, we eat fish. The question is, can those chemicals harm us? Marine debris also hurts the economy. It costs a lot of money to clean up, and people don't want to go to dirty beaches. Boats and ships could run into large pieces of debris too, or get their propellers tangled. We need the ocean and everything in it, and the ocean needs us to keep it free of debris.
So, what can you do about this problem? By participating in a Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys dive, you are helping to keep our ocean clean. The following slides will provide you with some specific information about removing marine debris in the protected waters of Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. What are national marine sanctuaries? Within the protected waters of national marine sanctuaries, giant humpback whales breed and calf their young, coral reefs flourish, and shipwrecks tell stories of our maritime history. Similar to national parks on land, these underwater parks provide a safe habitat for creatures close to extinction or protect historically significant shipwrecks. Each sanctuary site is a unique place needing special protections. Our national marine sanctuaries are part of a larger network called the National Marine Sanctuary System. Here, you can see a map of all the national marine sanctuaries and marine national monuments around the country. Today, we are talking about Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuaries off the coast of Florida. Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary protects the water surrounding the Florida Keys. If you visit the Keys and dip your toes in the water, you're in a protected place. Designated on November 16, 1990, Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary is one of the marine protected areas that makes up the National Marine Sanctuary System. Administered by NOAA, a federal agency, and jointly managed with the state of Florida, Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary protects the waters surrounding the Florida Keys from Miami westward to encompass the Dry Tortugas, excluding Dry Tortugas National Park. The shoreward boundary of the sanctuary is the mean high water mark, essentially meaning that once you set foot in the Keys waters, you have entered the sanctuary. Special permits are required and rules must be followed to remove marine and trap debris within sanctuary waters. This work also requires special attention to ensure you're minimizing damage to our sensitive ecosystem. Marine debris in Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary occurs through regular human use, natural disasters, derelict fishing gear, and from other land-based sources. We need your help to clean up this beautiful place. Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys is making an impact in the sanctuary. Here you can see a list of the top items removed from the waters of the Florida Keys. 8 of these 10 items are related to derelict fishing gear. It is important to make sure you are minimizing your impact when you're recreating on the water. Having the right gear for a cleanup dive will help you to make sure you're minimizing damage to the sensitive ecosystem and you're protecting yourself in the process. Some gear could include line cutters or scissors to cut monofilament line, underwater mesh debris bags, gloves, blank slates and a pencil, and an underwater camera. Only conduct removals within the parameters of your recreational dive training. Do not collect anything that is too large, heavy, or deep, and it will jeopardize your safety. Only use tools that are within your recreational dive training and that you have been trained to use prior to participating in a cleanup dive. It would not be safe for recreational divers to remove the fishing debris in this photo. There's a large entanglement hazard, and removing would require professional training and advanced tools. Patience is key to a reef-friendly cleanup. Do not rip, tear, or jerk at debris. Take your time and gently remove items. Reef cleanups are labor-intensive, require excellent buoyancy control, and also require patience to untangle lines wrapped around delicate corals and other marine life. Avoid touching coral. The mucous membranes of the polyps can be damaged by human touch, making them more susceptible to disease. Maintain neutral or slightly positive buoyancy at all times. Your body should be oriented at a 45-degree angle to your work area. Make sure to secure your gauges and second stage so they do not come in contact with the reef. Avoid standing on the bottom, resting your knees on the bottom, or kicking up sediment with your fins. If you find debris that is partially covered by new coral recruits, do not attempt to remove this portion. Only clip away the portion that is free floating with a minimum of encrusting organisms. In this photo, you can see that the diver is clipping around coral, removing fishing line, but leaving coral in place. Do not pull off monofilament line, anchor line, plastic, nets, or other debris. Cut the debris into smaller pieces using your wire cutters and remove each individual piece. Wear gloves to protect yourself and the sponge. Air is bad for sponges, so remove them from debris underwater. For a better chance at recovery, remove sponges with a dive knife rather than tearing them off debris. Be gentle. Squeezing them can squish the cells of their body. Tuck them snugly into an empty hole or crack in the reef. Be sure not to damage coral or other organisms while doing so. Many organisms use marine debris for shelter. Please do your best to leave all of these important critters behind by giving the debris a good shake away from coral and thorough inspection before bagging it and bringing it to the surface. some additional things to keep in mind. You may not remove debris that is embedded in the seafloor, which would require more than just pulling it out. No digging or excavating is allowed. If you encounter this type of debris, record the location, take a photo, and report it to the sanctuary. Do not remove debris with any live coral growth. Artifacts provide important clues about our past. Disturbance robs current and future generations of their educational value. The removal of historical resources from the sanctuary is a prohibited activity. Artifacts may include ceramic, glass, metal, and other organic items that may or may not have marine life incrustation. If an object is located near a shipwreck or other historic site, or if it is anything other than plastic or derelict fishing gear, it is best to leave it alone. If you're unsure, do not remove the item. Take several photographs while leaving it undisturbed and provide the photos to Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary staff for review. Artifacts are often metal, glass, or ceramic. In order to make sure you do not remove artifacts, leave these items in place. Focusing marine debris removals on items that are clearly plastic or derelict fishing gear will have the most impact. You must be authorized by Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, also known as FWC, and follow strict guidelines when removing derelict traps and trap debris from Florida waters. Your Gold Clean Seas Florida Keys operator is well versed in these rules and has acquired the proper authorization and training to conduct this work. Traps may only be removed from the water if they are derelict. A derelict trap is any trap that is in the water during closed season for that fishery or is not fishable, which means it's lacking 6 intact sides. A trap is also considered derelict if it is missing more than 2 of the following during open season: a buoy, a line, a current commission-issued tag or ID, or current license. Fishers may legally soak their traps 5 to 10 days prior to the season opening and may legally retrieve their gear 5 days after the season closing. Keep this in mind when you are conducting removals, and as always, ask your dive guides if you have any questions. You also need an FWC authorization to remove any piece of trap or combination of pieces of trap known as trap debris. Do not remove fishable traps. Severe penalties may apply for tampering with a trap, line, buoy, or the contents of a fishable trap during open season. If you are conducting cleanup activities during open season, you need to ensure you are not tampering with or removing fishable traps. We know that this is a lot of information to keep track of. If you are ever unsure if an item can be removed, ask your dive guide for assistance. If in doubt, note the location and photograph the trap and leave it in place. If you are unsure if any type of debris should be removed, you can report it to the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. You will need to describe the debris, record the GPS location, and include a photo when possible. The trap shown on this image should be left in place as it has live coral growth attached to it. Consider taking photos and videos of your debris cleanups. This data can be used to inform research managers as they decide how to protect fragile ecosystems. It also shows the impact of your work. Please note that divers should only use tools they have been trained to use prior to participating in the cleanup dive.
I fell in love with the study of solid waste because it so closely involves people. Every day we decide what to buy, what to consume, and then we have to choose if we're going to recycle something, compost something, or put it in the trash. Unfortunately, some of our items still end up in the environment. Every minute, the equivalent of a dump truck worth of plastic enters our oceans.
As researchers, we study plastic pollution all around the world, and this is a global problem. But I think there's this tendency to think of it as something that's far away and far removed from us. But there's nowhere on the planet that's not touched by the water cycle. So plastic pollution can start right in our own backyards. But so can the solutions. Scientists need data on what's ending up in the environment so that we can use that data to inform upstream solutions. But they can't collect this data without your help.
The first iteration of Marine Debris Tracker was actually on a personal digital assistant. My students went out and collected litter items with exact GPS coordinates, and we could look at the distribution and change of litter on a coastline over time. When smartphones came out, it became possible to collect this type of data on a wider scale, and so we thought there should be an app for that.
Debris Tracker is an open data citizen science movement. We're committed to sharing our data because we believe this problem will be solved more quickly when we work together. When you use the app, the geospatial litter data you collect is uploaded to our publicly accessible database. Scientists, policymakers, educators, or anyone around the world can download and analyze your data to inform their solutions. There's power in numbers, which is why we rely on a community of people just like you to collect this data. The app is free and easy to use, so anyone can become a citizen scientist.
Wherever you are in the world, every piece of data that you collect is a piece of the puzzle illustrating the plastic pollution problem.
So please join our open data citizen science movement by collecting litter in your community today and help us answer these 3 questions. What is it? How did it get there? And together, what can we do about it?
After your Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys cleanup dive, your shop will report data to the Marine Debris Tracker app. Don't forget, your dive guides are going to test your knowledge on the day of your Goal Clean Seas cleanup dive, so be prepared. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary and be a champion of Goal Clean Seas Florida Keys. Through participating in cleanup dives, supporting conservation programs, and sharing what you learn, you are making a difference for our blue planet.